Here with us now is trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris. Good morning, Misty. I want your help breaking this down. First, I want to get your reaction on how this played out. First, the jury was let go early. We expected more witnesses. None of that happened. What's your reaction?
So we were waiting for Hannah Gutierrez Reed to potentially take the stand on Friday when the judge began to address a motion that was filed late Thursday night by the defense team. And that motion asked for dismissal of the case. And this motion accused prosecutors of egregious prosecutorial misconduct. Clearly, there was something to it. Now we see as a hearing unfolded, but the judge found that it was so compelling that it required the jury to go home right at that moment. The trial could not proceed until this hearing actually took place. And Hannah, after everything came out, it is not a surprise that the judge actually dismissed this case. It was 100% warranted, given what prosecutors failed to turn over to the defense team.
And to your point, Missy, the judge ruled Alec Baldwin can't be charged with manslaughter in New Mexico related to this case. But we have to also mention those pending civil cases from Helena Hutchins' family against Baldwin and his team. Could that impact the cases moving forward, those civil cases?
So the civil cases are still going to move forward. This issue of where the bullets came from and the evidence relating to it that was the subject for the dismissal of the criminal case, those will all be relevant facts that will be a part of the civil case. Civil cases have different standards. It's called preponderance of the evidence. The ultimate relief is monetary, so it's a bit different. But certainly this ruling is going to be something that will be a part of that evidence.
The judge, and you mentioned this a moment ago, had some harsh words as she delivered her ruling, even suggesting bad motives on the part of the prosecution. Let's take a listen.
The state's willful withholding of this information was intentional and deliberate. If this conduct does not rise to the level of bad faith, it certainly comes so near to bad faith as to show signs of scorching.
Misty, your thoughts on how this evidence was handled? Could there be legal consequences?
There's going to be so much more here, Hannah. Intentional and deliberate. Those are the words that really ring in what the judge had said. And also scorching prejudice. Think about what the central issue in this case is. We've been covering this case together for years at this point. And the central issue is, how did live bullets end up on the movie set of Rust? And how did they end up in that gun? Well, one of the defenses has always been that it could have come from a supplier. So think about this. A box of bullets is turned over after the trial of Hannah Gutierrez Reed. A box of bullets that's put into a separate case file that the defense attorneys never knew about. These bullets were never turned over to the defense team to further that part of the defense, which is a central issue in the case. And now the judge is saying that it was actually a willful withholding of that evidence. That means there's going to have to be an investigation into these prosecutors. This is egregious prosecutorial misconduct. It's what's called a Brady violation. It warrants dismissal of the case. And think about what's going to happen next with respect to Hannah Gutierrez Reed. Her conviction is almost certain to be overturned. Whether or not that results in a new trial or she has the same result of Alec Baldwin is going to depend on what a similar hearing results about what prosecutors knew and when before her trial. So this is opening up a whole new can of worms with respect to this special prosecutor. And by the way, there's going to be an investigation into how this happened, because this is a violation of the civil rights of the defendant and also something that is a mar on the judicial system. So this case had a rocky road, and this is like the cherry on top here.
The person who brought this evidence to authorities after Hannah Gutierrez Reed conviction was a friend of her father. Just curious here, could he face any consequences for the role he's played in all of this?
Unlikely. It's more about what the prosecutors had in their possession or knew existed and failed to turn over. Whether or not the evidence would have really moved the needle in the courtroom if it were presented at trial became completely irrelevant, because prosecutors cannot make the unilateral decision to say, hey, defense, this evidence doesn't matter. Hey, court, don't pay attention to that. It doesn't matter. That's something to go through the legal process. Everything relevant gets turned over to the other side, and then arguments ensue about what's actually admissible into the courtroom. And then a jury hears that evidence and makes a factual determination about what that evidence means and whether or not someone is guilty. The prosecutors never gave anyone that opportunity because they made a decision and said, this just doesn't matter, without telling anybody else that the evidence existed. And that's the root of this issue. What it would actually mean to the case if Hannah Gutierrez Reed is retried, certainly we'll see in that context. But the Good Samaritan and friend who turned it over, he would be a witness. He would be called to the witness stand, but he wouldn't face any legal consequences I could see at this juncture. It's really all about the prosecutors and their missteps.
Misty Marris, always great analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.